All right. Okay. Straight into the video. All right. A little ASMR for you guys. All right. I just noticed like I kind of have fat fingers, you know. But anyways, so today's video is going to be talking about a specific sketchbook collection from a South Korean artist known as Kim Jung Gi. I was about to say Kim Jung Un. Yeah. Anyways, and the reason why I'm talking about this specific sketchbook is this one is actually pretty rare, and not a lot of people actually own this sketchbook from Kim Jung Gi. This is his 2007 sketch collection, and it's a very rare sketchbook on the Super Ani website. Most of the time, it's sold out. It's out of print. If I'm not mistaken, it's the only sketchbook most of the time that is out of stock on the website because it's so in high demand, and it takes a while for them to do like reprints or whatever like that of this book, and so not a lot of people have it. So immediately when it goes into like stock, it immediately sells out, and there's not a lot of these. Most people who have Kim Jung Gi books, they have these ones, right? The bigger ones, right? But as you can see, I don't know who really runs that. I think it's Hyunjin Kim, right? His manager, whatever, like that, longtime best friend. He runs all the books, but like, not only is the 2007 sketchbook very rare, they don't make the Kim Jung Gi sketchbooks like these no more. This is by far, and the reason why this sketchbook is in such high demand is because not only is it like the cheapest, it's like $70 compared to some of these books that are like $110. Not only is it the cheapest, it's at $70, but it's also the bulkiest. It has the most pages, but also more specifically on why me specifically I wanted this sketchbook, and most likely many other artists, is because this is the only sketchbook that has the earliest of Kim's work, right? We all know Kim Jung Gi to be this great artist, and when it comes to studying the greats or anything of greatness, we need to go back to where it all started. And the 2000 sketch collection has some of the earliest drawings of Kim from when he was a teenager. There's not actually, I don't think there exist any works of him as a child, any child drawings, but the earliest work is in this sketch collection. And I just wanted to show you guys the size. So if once you order it, it comes in this, nice, cute little package. Like I said, in comparison, this is the normal books that you would kind of get. This is my Unfollows book. And if you know, Unfollows is the, it's a Kim book with some of his most dirtiest drawings, and you would think this one would be my favorite one, right? Because of all the nudity. But like, no, believe it or not, the 2000s, out of all my Kim books, the 2007 sketch collection book is by far my most favorite Kim book because of everything I just named before, right? It's bulky. It has all his old works. A lot of people like Kim's pen work, right? His brush pen work. For me, it's specifically his penciling, right? Because I'm more of a pencil artist, right? I work specifically in graphite most of the time, and Kim did a lot of graphite drawing in his early days before switching over to a brush pen, where most people know him for, right? But he did a lot of just pencil work, right? Just pencils, underlying pencil sketches, and all that stuff, and it's all here. So let me pop out Unfollows. Don't worry, it's pretty cool, right? It says made in Korea. It's dope. But don't worry, I'm not gonna open Unfollows, right? I'm just gonna take the book out for comparisons, and then show you the size difference between these books. And this is Unfollows. This is the cover of it. And I know this isn't a review on Unfollows specifically, but I grabbed it just to show it. And then this is the 2007 sketch book once you open it. Right, and then you can already see how bulky it is, right? 2007, and I'm gonna take this out. And what you'll get in the package is you get the book itself, 2007 sketch collection. And then what else you'll get with every Kim book, you'll get a poster, right? Inside the box to go with it. I personally leave the posters you get from these Kim books inside the packaging because I mean you could put it up. It is kind of like a poster, but that would me personally that would be sinning to put this on the wall and pin it somewhere. I just leave it the way it is, but this is what it is, and it's obviously folded. So if we kind of unfold it, it's actually really large. Right, and these are just all his drawings, right? Just kind of Frankenstein together. Right. I wish I could zoom the camera out further, but it's fixed. But yeah, this is what you get. And every Kim poster is different. But like I said, the 2007 Sketchbook, they went off. Like I said, Hyunjin Kim, they never made another book like the 2007, which is why it's so rare. Okay, so this is the box, brown box that comes in. Boom, poster inside, back. There you go. Put that to the side. All right, now this page, if I'm not mistaken, this sketchbook, to show you how thick that boy is. The only problem the only problem I have with this particular book and binding is some of the art can get lost in the gutters, right? So, by the way, it does come with this kind of foil coverage or whatever, like that. Let me take this out, and then boom. That's how you know it's old. Look at that. Look at that Super Ani font website. Look at that, superani.com. There you go. That's what it looks like. It's pretty cool. Try not to get that glare in. 2007. Look at that. Pretty cool. Alright, here we are, baby. This is where it all begins. I'm just gonna turn to a random page in here, right? So you can kind of see. Let me try to see if that glare. Yeah, some of these pages are very, very bright, very glary. Let me see if I can get it closer to the. Okay, I had to grab. I put something to the side to kind of block out that angle where the lighting's coming from, because a lot of these pages were getting that glare on them, and you really couldn't see because of the reflection. Okay, but you can see what I'm talking about on how some of that gutter, right, as the drawings are curving in, right. It's fine, but sometimes it can be a bit hard, right? Sometimes you gotta straighten the book out, right, just so you can kind of see it. But let's look at some of Kim's earliest works, right? You can see a lot of his old pencil stuff here, right? Let's look at some of his earliest works. A comic he actually did when he was only 16 years old. Let's flip to that. So boom, here it is. So if I go get a little bit over into the shadow side, we see here, this was the comic that Kim did, just 16 years of age. This is what he was capable of doing. I think this drawing over here with these portraits, I think that's like a band or whatever like that. I'm not sure. I believe I could be mistaken. I think this actually has the year. I think it would be in his early 20s. I want to say he did that. But with this, he was 16 years old, and he remembers specifically mentioning the screen tonings of this. And I forgot the name of the comic, right? But this is the earliest works that I personally know of Kim, and I think that the only works that actually, personally, I think exist online that you can find of his. And this was a comic that he put together when he was 16 years of age, right? Let me see if I can get it closer in detail for you guys. So boom, 16-year-old Kim. This is another comic. I think it kind of ends here. I think this is all though when he was 16, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you look at the quality; it's rather consistent, right? So, not too far off. Yeah, I want to say this is also some of the works he was doing. So this dude's understanding of perspective and composition and all that is insane for back then. Right. Okay. And then there's another part I want to show to where he did He also did kind of another short comic illustrative work that was also kind of inspired by the film Saving Private Ryan. Um, that he also did when he was 21, 22. It was he had did that drawing right before having to go into and do his military service. So let's flip to that. Okay, so this is it. So I guess he had titled it Saving Private Ryan, right? And in some of these, and this is like a little comic he did. I think to just kind of recreate the same scenario. From my understanding, it's an interpretation of the D-Day scene, right, from the beginning of the film of Saving Private Ryan, right? But to kind of give context to the process, and he was 23. Kim Jung Gi was 23 years old when he did this. He was 23 before shortly going into his military service. And before he went in, I believe this was 1998, so I could be wrong, but this was right around the time of when the movie had released, Saving Private Ryan. So I think he shortly after he watched the film before going in to do his military service. And in case anyone's wondering, military service is mandatory in South Korea because the North and the South, they never signed a peace treaty during the end of the Korean War, right? It just became a standstill between the DMZ, right? Which is the most highest tension borders in the world between the South Koreans and the Northerners. Um, and the reason why it is mandatory for Korean men, South Korean men, to do military service is because the North can strike at any minute. So they want to make sure their men are well trained and well prepared in case there is an invasion from the North, and it is required by law. Between the ages of 18 to 28 is mandatory service. Every Korean male has to serve in the Korean military. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be a beautiful boy band like BTS, and they still have to serve. Your status and power doesn't matter. It doesn't deter you from military service, right? So, yeah, they're singing high notes with a rifle in their hand. But yeah, so Kim actually did enjoy his military service when he served. He actually, I believe in some cases, would go on to even mention that he missed it, and you can see he really appreciated the time he served in the military because it helped him with his understanding with firearms. In case no one's not, if anyone doesn't notice or don't know that, Kim Jung Gi is very, very good with drawing firearms, and he was saying a good part of that came from his time serving in the military because he said he got to hold the guns, he got to shoot them, he got to smell them, and of course that helps with drawing them, right? The more information the artist can get from a subject material, it's good. And while we're here, I just want to talk about, this is what I was talking about, a lot of his pencil work. A lot of people know Kim for his brush pens and stuff like that, but not a lot of people know him for his pencils and kind of his graphite rendering, right? As me, who's more of a pencil guy, I was more drawn to this with Kim Jung Gi. And that's the reason why I picked up the 2007 sketchbook, right? So we can just see some of these crazy renders, right? Look at that atmospheric perspective, right? As he's just blending that leg into the background, right? Crazy control here, right? And this, I would say this is probably maybe mid-20s, no more than late 20s, Kim, we're looking at here, right? I mean, look at the detail, man. Look, like, the dude was truly gifted. I mean, he's doing this, in his early 20s, and that's it, dude. Pack it up. You're done. In case anyone's wondering, like, could they ever get to this skill level? No and yes. There's a lot of I really don't want to say this because it's kind of like a negative thing to say, but there's a lot of gimmicks online, right, that like to emulate the whole Kim Jung Gi thing, right? Like the crazy perspectives and the composition shots and all that Kim can do. And people are they're getting closer to it, right? They've they're starting to like slowly figure it out, right? But no one is able to do it the way that Kim was able to do it. People can like mimic it and they can do the whole like how can I say this, inventing without an underlying sketch, right, and play with proportions as they're going. But no one was as good as Kim when it came to doing it, right? But he really did show people, pioneered and showed people what is achievable in art. You know, like he kind of changed the game, right? So let's go through and show some more of these pencils. Look at that. He also worked on this, and a lot of people like don't also see a lot of his render stuff like this, right? They see a lot of his brush pen, you know, kind of quick form sketching, but no one's really seen his like refined, really detailed, rendered out stuff, right? Like look at that, so good. This is the stuff I love. Like, look at that. Look at the little chibi head. Look at the details and all that. It's so good. Look at that little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I remember doing a drawing sketch study of that years ago because I just loved it so much. I wanted to draw it. I love the pencils. And then some of these, I think he goes over and he inks them. Some of these are like inked. Look at that. Look at this chick wrestling this dragon. You know, and he was just able just to draw stuff like that just from his head, right? He could just invent something like that, all rendered, all detailed. It's like no one's doing stuff like that. Let me see. Like no one's doing stuff like I don't care who you are. Look, I'm a prime example of like some things in art honestly is a God-given talent, and you can work hard at it, you can get somewhere with it, but some things like this you just can't make up. You just can't. He did put in a lot of work, yes, but he had something already there. He just capitalized on it, right? He knew drawing was one of his major strengths, and like everyone is born. I truly believe this. I believe everyone is born with a intuitive sense for things, right? That we're just naturally good at, right? I don't know. It could be like ice board skating. It could be like football. Maybe you're really athletic and stuff like that. Things that we know we're good at by nature, right? And it's up to us whether or not we want to capitalize on those things, or if we want to, you know, have interest in other things, but don't really, it really doesn't benefit our genetic factors, right? You know, like me for an example, like I'm a pretty big guy, right? It's like I'm built really for just like really physical contact sports stuff, right? Like football or something like that, right? But football doesn't interest me, you know? Like someone says like, oh man, you know, you're athletic and, you know, you have all the natural acts of being a great athlete and all these things. Why don't you just run with that? And it's like, well, because I don't want to do those things. I want to be an artist. And it's like, well, maybe I don't have a natural act for, you know, arting or drawing and stuff like that. But someone who does is going to have that advantage over me. You know, surely that's not the end all be all. I could always work to surpass that person or to be at their level, but it will be a lot harder for me, you know what I'm saying, compared to them, right? Where it just comes to them, right? They just they just get it, right? So hold on, let me wrap it up. I'm gonna show one more comic of the illustrative of like the SWAT stuff, and then we'll wrap it up from there because this is like a 600, 700 page sketchbook. I can literally sit here all day flipping through this. So let's get to that. So boom, we have it here. Starting here with some of the underlined pencils. It's a bit hard to see. For some of these, I might take a picture and then put it up so you guys can just see it in better quality. Just my current lighting and kind of recording situations, a bit hard to see some of these more faded pencil drawings. But we save more render. I mean, look at that, right? This is the little SWAT kind I was talking about, and just look at the rendering on these firearms and such like that, right? Look at these compositional shots, you know. And also, I don't think a lot of people know that Kim also did a lot of comics. He took on a lot of commissional comics and stuff like that. Just look at this. I'm trying to bring it more into the dark and the more of the shadow, so we're not getting like that glare. Look at that. Look at that. But you can see what I'm saying, right? You see it right here, how some of it just gets lost in the gutter. All right. Sometimes you wish you could just rip the book and then just have it completely flat. Look at that. Look at that pencil, right? Very comic booky, right? Pencils. And this, I could be wrong, but sometimes this stuff looks like it's brush pen, right? Like he's sketching and then he's going over with like a thick brush line, like a thick brush line weight, brush pen. Could be. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. Could be wrong. It could just be like, inked microns or whatever like that. Look at that. Police, law enforcement, SWAT officers come into the bathroom, see the kid with the firearm, reaches out, like his understanding, right? And that's how you know his perspective is so good, because he's able to draw firearms so well. If you struggle with, drawing firearms, then, it's a perspective thing. If you're great with drawing firearms, you're great with perspective. Simple as that. Some more of these pencils. And he kind of stops right here, right? And you can see how he was working on it, and then it just fades into non-existent, right? That's it. He stops right there. Oh, there he goes. It says his favorite Rotring pen? Rotring? I don't know how you quite pronounce that, but these are the tools he used. But yeah, before I end it off, let me show some more of his pencil sketches real quick. Like I said, this book is very girthy. It's my favorite Kim Jung Gi book. Not only is it my favorite, but it's the rarest out of all his sketch collections. I mean, look at this. Look at that. Dude, this is what most artists aspire to do. I shouldn't say most, but like, the images and the thoughts we have in our head that we want to put together, he's doing the thing. He's taking it, he says he doesn't do it, right? He says he doesn't have the images, but like, come on, all these compositional shots, these crazy perspectives, like we see these images in our heads, but we can't recreate them on paper, right? At least not the way Kim was able to. Let me flip through more of these. Boom, look at this stuff, right? There's something like aesthetically pleasing, right, of just like a full rendered face like this, right? And then it just goes down into the pencils. But notice the details on the firearms, right? Look at the rifles. Look how much detail and attention to detail he's putting into those rifles. Those rifles look more rendered than the rest of the body. Look at that. That showed you he was laser focused. Look at these faces, right? Look at these. So good. So good. Look at that. And this is some of his pencils. This is his older stuff. We don't see a lot of these from him. Comic over here. Look at that. He loved military stuff. He loved drawing military equipment. He loved drawing military weapons. He loved drawing vehicles. Look at that. So that's pretty much it, guys. I don't know how long this video is going to be already, but this is the 2007 sketch collection by Kim Jung Gi. Master Kim. Rest in peace. Truly the artist of our, century, It's sad he went out the way he did, but he left us with so much art to appreciate, to study, and to learn from. If you learned something new, if you like this video, please like it. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I do art-related videos like these pretty often, or at least I try to. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Take it easy, guys. Stay safe. God bless. All that stuff. I'll catch you. Bye-bye. Alright, I just wanted to come back and record this real quick because I forgot to mention this in the video. But I figured I'd come back and show you real quick. So in case anyone's ever wondering, with the Super Ani logo, right, with this silhouette figure, right, we see it here, we see it here, right? It's all over the place, right? It's like what what drawing is that, right? In case anyone's wondering, I have it bookmarked. It's in the 2007 sketch collection. I have a little bookmark here, right? Boom. It's that drawing. This is the drawing that is the Super Ani logo that you see. It's that drawing. I don't know why this specific drawing, whether it was Kim or Hyun Kim Jim or whatever like that, decided to use this. I have no idea, because there are so many drawings that are fully rendered like this, and to choose this drawing to be the staple of the company logo, it's crazy. Yeah. So, in case you're wondering, it's this illustration. Pretty cool. All right. With that being said, truly, bye-bye.